back.
Back again.
You're here at Pondering Parenthood podcast, where we talk about all
PPP.
Triple P.
Triple P.
Talk about all things parenting. I am your host, Mike.
And I'm your co-host, Meghann.
It's important to note that Meghann does all of the actual real work. I just talk to people, but Meghann is the one that does all of the. She does all of the stuff to make me not sound like an idiot.
I am the editor.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make you sound smart. You know?
I agree. No, that's why you're the one editing, because I definitely couldn't do it.
Just kidding.
Yeah. We all know you married me for my looks, obviously.
Obviously. They can't see you.
I know, that's... Yeah, no, this all works in my favor. I'm fully aware of what I'm saying, yeah. Really pumped about this episode. Have my my really, really, really good friend, brother from another mother, Will Brown on. Here to talk to us about his little kiddo.
Yeah, so in this episode, we cover some really interesting topics. Will talks about his son Obi, who is now 8 months old, but he discusses some of their fertility journey, his and Rachel's, and their venture into IUI, which is short for intrauterine insemination, the step before a lot of couples explore IVF. They also talk about some of Obi's medical concerns that happen, which you'll get into, and his experience with allergies.
Yeah.
So very interesting to listen to and hear their story.
Yeah, super fun. And I've known WB for, as he points out in the episode, almost 2 decades. Met in college.
Long time.
It's crazy to think. By the time I will have known him for 2 decades, I will have. Yeah, I mean, I'm at a point now where I am knowing him longer than I'm not knowing him.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think I've lived long enough for that. But we met in college. We lived together, and we've been really close friends ever since. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy Will Brown.
Enjoy the show.
What's up, man?
I'm so happy to be here, Mike. Been loving you and Meghann doing this podcast, and I'm just so happy to be here with you.
Yeah. So we've known each other now since we were 18, which feels like it was 1,000 years ago, and
1,000 at least
1,107 years ago, at least. And it's kind of interesting. This is kind of fun to be able to interview you because, like, we knew each other when we were just like dumb college kids, and we've gone through each other being in relationships with other people, getting out of college, jobs, changing jobs, all kinds of stuff. And now we get to be parents together, and that's just super cool.
And we're still dumb.
And we're still dumb. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every parent will agree that the common link between all parents having kids is just you learn how dumb you are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the first questions I like to ask all guests, because I think it's a good place to start, is just, did you always want to be a parent? Is that something you wanted to do prior to getting married? Is that something you found the right person and you were like, I think I want to have kids? What brings you to parenthood?
Oh, I definitely knew that one day I would love to have kids. I often say, now, because at the time that we're recording this podcast, my son, who I'll refer to as Obi on here, is 8 months old today.
Wow.
And I am 35 years old. And I think I would have said, if you talked to me 10 years ago, it's oh, do you think you'd have kids by the time you're 35? I'd say yeah. But now being here, there's been a lot of it's I'm so happy to be a parent, and it feels right at this moment. But a lot of things of just that feeling old where it's just like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
of course, this feels like a good time. This is a time when I would have said, like, yes, I will be a father in my mid-30s. And it's like, well, you are in your mid-30s.
Yeah.
And here you go, you're doing it. And it's like, wow, that just flew by. I mean, it doesn't feel like too long ago that we were roommates in college. But it is, sneakily, I mean, we said 1,107 years ago. And we'll try not to go too far to the inside joke
Sure.
for our faithful listeners, or your faithful listeners. But, yeah, I mean, but almost 20 years ago. And yeah, I did know that I would love to have kids. I mean, we are both education majors. And I know that probably anybody who did that or went to education has like a love for kids and the youth, but it is certainly a whole different ball game when it is your own offspring, and it has been so wonderfully joyous and so challenging at times. Of course, I know that I'm not the only parent that would say that. But that's the long answer, I guess. But yes, I did always want to be a parent.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up because like I know that even as I entered my, I was exited my 20s and entered my 30s. I know that like I was like, when am I gonna feel like I'm an adult? Like when am I gonna feel like I've arrived? And there were a few things that set that in motion. Buying a house and having a mortgage for sure. It's like, holy cow, like I have a mortgage now. But like once you have a kid, it's like, oh, I'm an adult now. Like I'm now responsible for a whole nother human. Like I've reached the point where I'm an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree too with like, my wife Rachel and I bought our house a few years ago, and that seemed like I don't think, even though I had the desire, it's like I'd still, if I didn't have a house, I still would have the desire that I want to be a parent. But certainly having a house to call our own helped to like feel like this is a secure place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To it's like climbing that ladder of life, man. Where you're just like, all right, well, you got the house, like now we had the dog too, so it's like, all right, what's next? Here we go.
Yeah. Walk us through like what sort of the story for you and your partner Rachel, for you guys, for her getting pregnant, like the decisions that came with deciding to get pregnant. Was it easy? Was it challenging? Just like all of the steps that led to, the magic happening.
All right. Well, so we were married nearly 3 years ago, in September 10th, 2022.
You hear that, Rachel? He knows the day, Rachel.
Yeah. She's eavesdropping from the kitchen right now. But we knew, and at that time we were in our early 30s, and we had been together for a few years before that, but we just knew. We kind of had that a talk where we had said, do we want to wait a little while before trying to have a child, and I know that a lot of couples will do this, but we just didn't know how like easy or how hard our journey to getting pregnant would be. And so we just said, let's go for what we want this. Mm-hmm. So it was not long after we were married that Rachel stopped using birth control, and we just were like, let's go for this. And then it emerged that we were going to have, some hiccups along the way with our fertility journey. So after a few, I don't know, it felt like half a year to 8 months of being like unsuccessful, we just knew we have to explore some means here. What can we do? And we knew I feel like a lot of people have heard of, IVF. And so it's like that became a big consideration for us. But also it's just like, yeah, sure, IVF, people will help you do this. But I learned about, IUI through this, which we didn't, like, maybe I'm just naive, but truly it was just that when we were finally like going through this process, it was very eye-opening for me. And it was like, okay, well, actually before you try, you can't just be like, well, you're trying to get pregnant, you can't just do IVF, sure. But you have to do IUI first, which is just like insemination.
So, yeah, because I'm super naive to this as well, and I regret that fact, but can you go in a little bit more detail about like what IUI is?
So, what they will do is that your partner, the woman, will take drugs to stimulate like ovulation.
Yep.
And when the timing is right, I did have to give a sample.
Yep.
And it's like first thing in the morning, and no, we're doing it on a certain day, so drive to the facility with my sample, drop it off, and then later on in the same day, go in, and they have like the sample has been like cleaned and prepared, and
got it.
Literally just
got it.
Insemination.
Yeah. So like because with IVF they're actually like removing the eggs, like it's a little bit more invasive, whereas with IUI they're not actually going in and surgically removing anything.
No, they're not doing that.
Okay.
It is still like a bit intense.
Sure.
I know from just being, I had the easy part,
sure.
I'd say, but I was there both times to just like, obviously you're trying to be the most supportive partner that you can be.
Yeah.
And you're still you're excited. You're just, because it's like at that point when we got to that stage, we just knew like, okay, our circumstances dictate that we have to do this, and we knew we had so many trials. I believe we had to do 3 IUI attempts before we could then be considered for IVF.
And is that standardized? Like, is that something your doctor said, or is it just like for insurance purposes, like you must try this many before we're willing to jump into IVF?
I believe it's like insurance sort of dictates.
Makes sense.
That I'm saying this also from it's been a little while since then, and I could be more up to date and educated on exactly what it was, but we knew that it was like, okay, you have to do 3 cycles of IUI before you would be. We're gonna say it's like, okay, this isn't working, so now we can step it up to full blown IVF. But the story has a happy ending because it was actually on our second go round of IUI that was successful. And ended up, giving us OB.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and even like I hear as you're talking about it, it's like, how much do you say, how much, just because this, who knows who's going to listen to all this, but there is a part of me that feels like the fact that we know so little about this, like, because you're one of my closest friends, and like, I'll be honest, like I knew you were going through IUI, but like I wasn't plugged in maybe as much as I could have been, and so like, it's unfortunate that like we don't know more about this stuff, because I think it would make it a lot easier to talk about, and it would make it an easier process for people to go through. Like, getting pregnant looks different for everyone. It doesn't matter like whether it's easy, whether it's challenging. It's an experience that everybody who's trying to have a child experiences this, but it's also incredibly unique for each person. And so like, thank you for talking about that, because I think that it's important for people to like understand what that looks like.
And I will say, the precursor to that too, and without getting into it, because I didn't explicitly talk to my wife about some of the medical things that like led up to us, actually having or going through with IUI, because there were like some like obstacles that I won't get into because I didn't get permission to reveal that, because it's more about like my wife's health and body.
Yeah, you're looking to stay married for at least a little bit longer, right? So
at least trying to get
for at least another 107 days, at least.
Yeah, thank you. But we were open about that, and we did tell friends, even before we started IUI, we were like, yes, we are trying.
Yeah,
we are trying, and then it's like, I will say, we kind of got into that, like, that it's like an awkwardness of like, we were trying to be open, like, about it as we go, and we're happy to, and into the IUI process as well. But then there is, and I could sense from like dear friends and family members, where it's like people are trying to be so not like pry. They want to like respect your privacy. Yeah. But everybody, these are some of like the most exciting things that people could be going through, or at least have one of the most exciting end results of like these processes. So people like are just, I can't say enough. Our friends and family were like so respectful. But it's like the longer that you're trying, there's the more of like the feeling from friends and family that was like, I don't want to like ask, So we did get to a point where it's like we basically were just like, we're trying to be, it's like we had been open, realized the sort of flip side of the coin, and then kindly we're like, we will just like keep you updated. Like, yes, we are still going through this, but just like to not have people be like, so how'd the last round go? Like, and it's like, well, it failed, thanks for asking. So, and no one obviously in our life was like so like blatant with that, but like our parents, of course, like they knew with that, and they just like they're like waiting to hear how things go too, because after each like round of IUI, you're kind of like, well, we'll see, now we wait. But again, fortunately for us, it was like after our second round of IUI, which is like, I feel like blessed about it, because we kind of were mentally starting to get to the point where we definitely thought it was going to take longer. And even having like, a shred of like, is this going to happen? I want this.
I feel like pregnancy, birth, these sorts of things, like there's like a lot of what you've described around all of it. Like I remember, like there's all of these ideas around like, when do you tell people you're pregnant? If you tell too soon and then something happens, like there's so much of that sort of thing around it, where like you want to be open, you want to tell people, and then people want to ask questions, and then you're like, I don't really know if I want to answer these questions, but like I also want people to be involved, and it's hard. I don't know like what the answer is there, and obviously it's different for everybody. But I think what's hardest is kind of what you've described, is that like, I want to be able to be open. I want to be able to talk to people, and I don't want you to ask me questions because I don't really want to answer them. Like, it's like, I know Meghann and I felt similarly in that way with some things, where we were like, I want to be able to talk to people about it, but also please don't ask me your questions. And the problem is, of course, with friends and families, once you offer information, the other person, as part of the relationship, often feels like, well, now I need to ask questions. Like, if I want to be plugged in, you've welcomed me into this information, I want to be part of this, I want to be able to ask questions, because I want to know, and because I want you to recognize that I care about you and I want to be involved. And it's just tough, because it's, what you just described. It's like, no, I don't really want to talk to you about how this round failed. Like, that's not something I'm interested in chatting about.
I think that there was like a point too where we were starting to really like turn that corner of like that, like, please don't ask questions. But then it did like happen for us. Right. So if had it gone longer, I think it would have been. I mean, we had like with like our parents, because like I feel like our parents were the ones who are like, and not in a prying way, but they're asking.
Yeah, they care about you guys, and like you're doing something important. They want to be a part of it. Yeah, it's all coming. It's never coming from a place of like. It's always coming from a good place, right? That's part of what's hard. It's like I recognize that you're coming at this from a very positive place, but also I don't want to have these conversations.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that in the past, like, I mean, social media has like a huge deal with, or a huge part in this.
Sure.
At least in my life, but like seeing women being so open about like infertility issues and their journeys, I just don't remember like that was not in like like our consciousness. Granted, we were in like in college, like we're like not that we were not thinking like, oh, like we want to have kids or plugged into like, you know, life in that way.
Yeah.
If for lack of a better saying. But to see, and just like, it's so brave when I just see women who have like, it's like are open about their struggles.
Yeah.
And then when we had our own struggles, and then you realize, you're like, oh wow, like, yeah, there is like a flip side to the coin, because it's like, yeah, I want to not feel like so like sheltered or guarded about it, but there became a like, yeah, like a feeling like it's like, oh, we do need to kind of stay a little guarded, for lack of a better saying.
Yeah.
It just is. It was weird. It was weird for sure. But I think that you're just trying to like, it's disappointment management. You know, is what it comes down to. Because, I mean, especially we did the first go-round, and we did not think it would be successful. And I think statistics show it was probably not going to happen after the first IUI round. And we just, I mean, you're hoping for the best, but we just started to think, like, I mean, I know even, I remember Rachel even saying at one point that it just thought, it's like you're just going through the motions. And so it's like we're just trying to get to IVF, because it's like, that should be, that would give us more of a chance to be successful, and that this IUI is a quote unquote like a waste of time. Obviously, it was not at all. But it just is like there's a lot for, you know, women who are trying to give birth, like what they have to go through, even for just the IUI, like the drugs, like the going into the clinic to like to do. I mean, anybody who's like a medical professional, if you're listening to this, I'm just a regular guy, and it's been a while, and like I'm butchering like exactly what it was, but it just is so. It's such an involved thing. It's so consuming. And Rachel's work, like just being flexible to be like, yep, you got to go in for this checkup, and then it's much like having a kid, where you're just like, yeah, 'cause like just stuff comes up, and it's like, oh well, I guess I'm not working today because you know, my kid just threw up on my dog everywhere or something like that. It seems, you know, when I like look at Obi, and I'm like, wow, this is just, it's like, I can't believe that you're here. I didn't know if you would ever be here. Yeah.
I don't know if you had this thought, but I had this thought. You know, Meghann went through some postpartum stuff with the C-section, and you know, as the guy, I didn't have feelings either way, other than that like the C-section there's like some dangers involved with that. Not major. I mean, a C-section is a pretty routine surgery, but I know that like at some point in this last year, I actually got really sad because I realized that I was never gonna be, I was never gonna get to be like the non-birthing partner in the labor stuff. I had some sadness in that. They're like, oh, I'm never gonna get the chance to like walk my wife through the labor process.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, we talk all the time.
Yeah,
and I remember at some point, like you talked about that, and I mean, I don't know if we're having another kid. I'm sure that's like to be determined, I guess.
Yeah.
We're just very happy having Obi right now. But yeah, that fact of like, I mean, I had read not the whole thing, but the birth partner, and just thinking about that, and you hear about these like 24-hour or longer like laboring, so like these sessions, and ours couldn't. Like I think Obi was born at like 8:02 a.m. It's just like it's like get there at 5:30, and it couldn't. I mean, look, there was a flip side of like I liked that, but there was that. Yeah, I think I had that like a bit of like I don't know, I think full-blown sadness, but it was like I had been looking forward to trying to like just be the best supportive partner that I could during like one of the craziest times that you can ever experience.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So who knows? Maybe I will have the chance, but
if you do have the chance, will you invite me? Can I come so I can get a chance to also?
I'll definitely talk to Rachel. She likes you a lot. She likes you a lot, So. But no promises.
So now, so you've got this lovely kiddo, as you said, born at a scheduled C-section. You know when it's going to happen. Now you've got him.
You know what? I will say, even walking in for a planned C-section, because I had heard, it's like, you hear about people laboring for like 24 hours or longer, and then ultimately just to be like, you have to have an emergency C-section.
No, for sure.
And so it felt like it's like to seize a little control. OB was breech at like 38 weeks, so this was like part of the reason that that caused us to plan this out. But like with the OR, walking into the OR, I just thought it was so much more intense in there than I thought it was going to be, even though it's like planned. Like, and I remember we did have a doula as well. Who both of our doulas, Liz and Jess, we love you so much. They're excellent.
They listen to this podcast, so it's good that you shout it out to me.
I'll have to turn them on to the podcast. But Jess was with us, and then she actually got permission to come into the OR.
Nice.
So she was with me as I walked in, I remember, and I did bring in like a Bluetooth speaker with like some calming playlist on, and it's like some like yoga like music or something like instrumental, but just like we listened to it sometime like after Obi was born, and it was like I like start welling up, because like I just get like that was so like emotional, and I can get put back into place. But overall, like the OR was so much more intense than I thought it was going to be from a plan perspective. But of course that makes sense, it's an operating room,
it's surprising how many people are in there. That's what I was surprised by. It's like, there are like 7 other people in this room right now.
Yes, that's what, and I just like, I guess like part of it was like I just really didn't know what to expect. I mean, knock on wood, I've been like a pretty healthy guy and like not having to have like any surgeries or anything. But like going in there, I was just like, oh wow, there's like 10 people in here. Yeah, that's nuts. But I'm very grateful that our doula was let into the OR with us, because she took pictures for us, but just a calming presence. And was able to stay with Rachel too after Obi was born. Nice. And when I cut the cord and then left, and they shuffled me out, and then I have some time, but then they have to finish up their pursuit. But it was, I mean, and not that it's like boring, but no long laboring session here for Willie Brown. So
what has been Well, and so we had conversations before you had a kid, and often in those conversations you would say, and for those who don't know Will Brown is like one of the most humble, quietly confident people you could meet. There's not an arrogant or narcissistic bone in his body. But with having said that, you would often say like, yeah, like I'm ready. Like I feel like I'm ready. Like I know like there are going to be things that are surprising to me, or things that I'm not that I'm going to be. But like I feel like I'm really really ready. And so I'm wondering, like, now you've got the kid, right? You're in it. You're 8 months in, so you're in it. Do you stand by that, or and also like what is the most surprising thing after 8 months of having a kid that you've experienced?
Yeah, I think it is a day by day preparedness. That,
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
a good
don't,
way to describe
that
it.
depending on the day, I don't know if if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I do feel so. We had been specifically in Rachel and my situation. Rachel's parents are fully retired, and they had moved up here to upstate New York, where we live. And my neighbor across the street has an in-law apartment, and they rented that for a few months, and were around to be supportive of us, and that was tremendous. And saying my parents are close by, like our support system was just like incredible, and it helped me. If anything, like it helped us both so much, and in some ways, I say it almost like enabled me to like, not that I wasn't like present, but I like reflect back on like the first couple months, and it was like it was fall. Obi was born in mid-October, so I have like a ton of trees out like in my property, so I like doing that kind of like yard work and things, but like I still found time in those early days to try to like do things like where it's like the household things.
Yeah.
And it helped me to like keep my like mental health at that period of
Sure.
time. However, I don't know if I felt like I was like at moments that I was missing out because I was like I had diverted focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say now, I mean, at the time of this recording, Obi's 8 months old, and we're hitting a stride now that is like so, for me, so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely can admit it was harder for me in the beginning with a newborn,
Mm-hmm.
a true newborn, than it felt as we hit like 3-4 months of age. And yeah, and I did feel, and I still feel like I heard like so much about like change is the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you get systems, or like, and I love like household systems,
Sure.
like doing chores.
Who
and
doesn't?
trying to be like efficient with time or whatever. And like, okay, how can I make this like the most efficient use of like the task to get it done? But like with a kid, yeah, you can sort of do that, and then you'll be like, oh, I kind of settled in, we got something down, and then boom, it's all out the window. It's all out the window.
Yes.
Based on like a developmental
Yes.
change. And then we were referencing, it is just nuts with social media. There's like influencers for like, like new parents and
Yep.
things like that. And just the amount of info that is out there, because yeah, it's great with the internet to be able to be like, I have a question, who's this? And like go on a Reddit forum to see other parents who have been like going through a certain experience. But there is also just so much stuff that we basically were like, okay, we have the Mayo Clinic book. That seems okay.
Yep.
You just need to like dial it. We need to dial it down, because there's just so much like contradictory, like information out there. Depending, on where you look. And then sometimes advice just like, through our parents perhaps, or through other friends that are parents, like some incredible advice, of course, but then some like advice that, it's like I wasn't even looking for
Yes.
an answer. I didn't have a question. And I just like, and I'm sort of feeling like overwhelmed with like this info I wasn't like asking for, I guess, for some certain things.
A lot of times you kind of just want people to sit there with you. It's like, it's hard. Like a newborn, and like you've just described what I would say maybe is an idyllic situation, right? Like you have you and Rachel, you've got her parents are there a lot. You've got your parents there to support, right? Even with all of that support, I mean, we had my mother-in-law here for snuzz, and it was amazing to have that support, and it was still the newborn stage. Like for me, the first 6 months or so, it was so hard. And I guess like, were you kind of surprised by the fact that like it was as challenging for you in the beginning as like, because you are a very fun-loving guy. Like you are, I think, a kid at heart. I think when I think of like a dad, like you are, I think of you. Like you are definitely like, you play guitar, like you come up with songs, like you are an embodiment of like the fun, great dad. And was it kind of surprising to you, or was it like, were you kind of like, it's kind of interesting that like at the beginning the newborn stage was as hard for you as it was?
Yeah, I knew that I think it was like a bit of a surprise. I feel like that there were days where it felt like easier, that I was getting in a groove, but certainly like what was revealed to me was like what I like say like a nice social life. Like I'm part of like a band that like gigs like pretty regularly, or at least has routines that are pretty regular.
I mean, it
like,
wins awards.
It
wins awards, so it's an award-winning band.
The local music awards. But like and like my bandmates, for example, like they're some of my best friends, but none of them have kids. And
sure.
Like I have a lot of other friends who don't have kids. And then I felt like this like divide all of a sudden, where
yes,
it may be self-imposed, but it's just like I just all of a sudden it's like that's so much of my time isn't my time anymore.
Yeah.
And that was like the hard part. And now where it's like, so sort of like, it's like at the best of times now, like try to embrace that, where it's like, I mean, I feel like at this moment, it's just like, wake up at 5:30 in the morning and there's stuff to do until like bedtime.
Yeah.
And Obi goes to daycare full time at this point. But it's just, I mean, I jokingly say it's like, the hours spent bottle washing at this moment.
Oh man,
is like insane. But there were things when looking back where it's like I felt like it was hard in the beginning, but Obi was a really great sleeper. It turns out, like, and I kind of was expecting, it's like, do you hear about the sleep deprivation?
Yeah.
And that didn't happen in like the first 3 months. I mean, for me, I would say. I mean, I was getting up to help with like diaper changes and all
sure.
things, like wherein like the newborns are needing frequent changing throughout the night. But I mostly am just trying to support Rachel because of like just the like how much in that beginning, like that bond between baby and mother.
There's just not a whole lot. I mean, it was similar for me. Like I would get up to change diapers and things like that, but then like. It's just when you're the non-birthing partner, and especially like if you're breastfeeding and things like that, there's just not a whole lot that like we can do in those moments. Like it's, we do as much as we can, like, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like I definitely got more sleep than Meghann did in those newborn stage. Cause it's just like, there's, I can do what I can do, but then that's it,
Well, but then Obi was sleeping for good, like 6 hours, maybe at most, but like these really good chunks.
Yeah.
And I sort of was like, wow, this isn't even close to what I thought. I think the sleep deprivation that I would hear about was like the number one thing that I was.
It's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst.
But then And then that came. That month 4, 5, 6, it felt like so much of the, like, a good portion of the winter was, like, it just, Obi wouldn't sleep in the crib anymore. He just needed to be held.
Yeah.
And so that was at a time where, like, I mean, I look back, because it could have been so much harder, especially if it were just the two of us. But when my in-laws being here with us, at this point too, they had moved out of an apartment, but then were, like, up with us frequently.
Yeah.
But would manage it. It became like when nighttime came, it was like, this is true work now, and we would do shifts of, like, okay, my mother-in-law's doing, 10 to 1, then Rachel will do, 1 to 3, and then I'll do 3 to wake up.
Yeah.
And that just was like a month and a half or 2 months. It felt like it did feel like that was just an insane blur. I mean, this is also like middle of winter, so just not a lot of daylight too. And we're both.
It's a bad time to be
like,
sleep deprived.
Yeah, and that was, and also like combined with like an eagerness from my standpoint to like try to get back to things that I was, pre kids life things, like in a different capacity, of course.
Sure.
But I just was like, I'll try to get to band practice, for the first time in a while. And just these things, it's just was like, oh my gosh, like, and Rachel, my always right wife, Rachel, would always say, it's like, you don't know how it's going to be, just because, like, and I've seen, like, I have so many friends with kids like yourself that, and like talking to people about their experiences and be like, oh, you can like project like what it's going to be like as much as you want.
Yeah.
But you will have no idea until like you are actually living it, and like on a day by day basis. And, and just like you can, that's it. And like, but I knew it was like this blend of like, I was so trying to like, it's like, hey, let's seize some things, like we can have, I can be a dad, and I can like have like some of these before times. But really it just was like, and especially now where I am kind of like happily trying to get back to some like routines, and extracurriculars that I like, that it's just like it's all with a major air of flexibility. Like, it's like shit's just gonna hit the fan.
Yep.
You don't know when, it just will. It's like, let's just go to work and come home getting ready to like wake up at 3 a.m. to just like hold, and like I'm gonna watch a television show on my iPad because I'm not like sleeping in a chair. But yeah, you're just trying to like at those moments like manage your own comfort to like get by. It's wild to think back on that time. And I don't know how, shout out to my in-laws, they like gave up their, I mean, I said to them at one point, I'm like, you don't have to, if you're like, I'm done with this, like, it's like, I love our little grandson, but this nighttime routine of like, doing shift work essentially sucks, so we're gonna,
we're not interested. This isn't, like, we don't have to stay here.
I said like, like you were, it's like, you don't have to do this. But they're, my parents are still like, they still work in some capacity. And even, I know that I'd like to think that I could call on them to do something like that, but the willingness of my in-laws to just be so involved. This is the first grandchild for both of our parents too. That it just has been like, at that time, like, I don't know how parents do that with like major sleep deprivation. Like, if you have a child that won't sleep in their crib and you need to hold them to like just have some calm, it's like you just don't sleep, I guess. I managed to like, I was going to bed at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock just to like sleep, to like feel like it's like, okay, I get a good amount of sleep even if I wake up at 3 a.m. But it's like, I'm living a life that's like getting up for an early flight every single day, feeling.
I mean, I think, and I think what people said to us is that like, and I found it to be very, very unhelpful. And now it's something that I try to say with a tremendous amount of grace, but like, it does, like, it does get better. Like it's like everything. And when you're doing it the first time, it doesn't feel this way. And then if you do it a second time, you are prepared for it, and so you're better at it because each stage comes with its challenges, but those challenges then go away. Like the sleep stuff at some point goes away, and then they do sleep through the night, and then it comes back a few months later because now they're having nightmares. Or with Snuzz, she sleeps through the night, no problem. But getting her to go to bed is a huge thing. I mean, that's something we really have to fight with. And similar with Mouse, like Mouse sleeps very well through the night, getting her to bed, right? And so and that's the thing, right? Like it's one of those things that like when people said it to me with Snuzz, because she was such an awful sleeper, they would say, oh, well, it's going to get better. And I would be like, yeah, I mean, you come here and do this for the next week then. But they were right. Like it does get better. It does get easier.
Totally.
Yeah.
We were looking on Reddit and just seeing, reading things about my kid won't nap during the day, or my kid won't sleep in the crib at night. And then ultimately it's certainly if you read a comment, it's circling back, it does get better, and you hear that thing, it gets better.
Yeah, and you're like, it doesn't feel good to hear that when I'm currently living through hell. That's not helpful.
And I mean, at that point too, it was just weeks of, it's every day.
Yeah.
It's work was nighttime.
Yeah.
It's we're here we go. It's we'd have dinner, and then it's okay, here we go, bedtime.
Yeah.
And it's and for me, it's I would get up at 3, like I've said a few times, and it's I go to bed at 8 o'clock, and there's no watching television shows for just a bit of reprieve. There's no reprieve.
Yeah.
It's just and it just blended together. Yeah, and I knew that too. I'm so happy that that's behind us, but I'm not naive to know that it's no, oh, you're done with sleep deprivation. Of course we're gonna start. We're going through right now that Obi is moving rapidly, and he loves standing. So now we're put him down for bed, and he just wants to get up and
he just wants to stand up.
My sleep sack on the edge of the bed, and then fall and hit my head.
Yep.
Start crying. And
Mouse does that. She still does that.
it's a different challenge. But Obi can't really get down from the stand without just falling at this point. But I imagine soon he'll kind of get
to
it.
figure that out,
better. But now with bedtime, it's not just put in the crib and then leave the room. It's put in the crib and then kind of be on standby, because I did it the other night. I was alone for bedtime, and then he just hit his head. Just try to stand up, hit his head, starts wailing. It's okay, well, I gotta go in for a second to try to console. Where we had done sleep training with effectiveness, where it's at these increments of time, but now it's just trying to not have our boy bang his face too many times on the side of the crib. That's our current challenge.
Yeah. So you brought it up. I know, obviously you mentioned sort of your fertility journey, and then thankfully the birth itself was pretty standard, nothing there. But since Obi's been around, I know that you guys, you and Rachel, have had to deal with a variety of things. I know there's been some issues with some allergies. There's been some issues with some medical stuff. So what have those experiences been like? Can you describe kind of what you guys have gone through and what that's been like?
Yeah, sure. So you hear in the beginning that, how baby skin's so sensitive and that they'll just get, rashes here and there. And that was the case for us. And Rachel is still breastfeeding for now. But at some point, it just felt constant with these, it's eczema, rashes, And ultimately, we had been to, our pediatrician many times, and and Obie's he's been a little chunker, so he's got rolls and folds, and it's like on all those rolls and folds, like having like red skin, and
I wanna pause for a minute in there, and just so people understand. So Obie is like 11 months younger than Mouse is. And the last time we were there, he was almost the size of my second.
Oh yeah, he is. He's a big.
He's a healthy boy. He's a healthy boy.
Oh yeah. So, but it just felt like Rachel was doing a lot of like dietary eliminations to see if this would help at all, and so we started out with like dairy and soy, because at that point it just felt like that there would be maybe these like related, and I mean, you're as like a parent and like taking care of your kid, it's easy to like overanalyze things, but you'd be like, does that seem like, I had like a soy based thing, whatever, and now it seem like his skin is like more inflamed, or like more eczema, and ultimately got referred to an allergist, and then and at this whole time too, I'm just like, I hope he's not allergic to the dog. Oh my gosh, I love the dog.
Yeah.
But we did get referred to an allergist who like told us about, who's like referred us to the routine of like, hey, do like a daily. We were not bathing daily at that point. And we do that now as like part of our routine, just like water and Vaseline. We are the number one buyers of Vaseline.
Yeah, you're currently keeping Vaseline afloat.
Yeah, exactly. But after doing a scratch test, that did determine that Obie had a slight like egg and dairy allergy, which is not like super uncommon, right? So we're hoping that he outgrows it, but at this point, it's not the case.
Yeah.
But the allergist did. It's like yes, he does seem to be like a more like eczema prone baby. And I even saw some photos of myself when I was a kid, and my parents they weren't. I mean, they took me to routine doctor's appointments, of course, but even seeing some photo. I mean, I've had like some skin issues myself. Never diagnosed properly by a doctor,
right.
But I remember I would have I feel like it's probably eczema.
You have some I know.
Here.
You like sometimes your cheeks get red, right? Like you definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I would chalk that up to like drinking, but there was a time. It was like right around the time of like I remember your bachelor party. That I felt like that was 2018, and I would get like these, I would say it's rosacea flare-ups.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it was, but like those were skin things I was dealing with. And so I don't know. It's like, all right, so the allergist gave us some answers in that regard, but also it's like he's so young, so it's like they're apparently by the time like a child is like 2 years old, that it's like a lot easier to be able to like identify and then eradicate like some of these issues, because then like you live for 2 years, so then you have more experiences, you've been exposed to more things.
And their digestive system, like, I mean, we learned this like in like when they say the fourth trimester, I mean, it's a real thing. Like their digestive system is still developing like during those first several months, and so like like messing with allergies and like that does seem like extra challenging, because it's like, is this just their digestive system? Like what's going on? Yeah.
But then even after like identifying those allergens, then there would we'd still battle like these like eczema flare-ups.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just feel like that they got like really like out of, it's just like sometimes he didn't even seem like he was in too much discomfort, but you look at his skin and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this, like my poor guy here. And sometimes being really itchy. We do a daily Zyrtec,
okay.
which I to try to manage some like of like these allergies are like in the flare-ups.
Yeah.
But it all culminated like sort of like in one of the big things that happened was that we ended up in the hospital for a period of time with an OB got diagnosed with eczema herpeticum, which is basically the herpes virus, the HPV, that I assume, I mean, it could be from any, he had just started full-time daycare. I had felt like at this time I had nursed a cold sore that, and so I don't know, I mean, I feel like it's likely he might have gotten it from me, but his eczema skin makes him more susceptible to things like this, and this was like so awful and just not a thing. I mean, the allergies and all that stuff, certainly not on a bingo card. You're just trying to like, it's like you just get the information and hopefully you can just have tools to manage it. But this was absolutely insane. Like, if you Google this, it's like, it's just like, oh my God, this is just horrible.
I'm gonna highly recommend that our listeners don't Google this, because you sent us pictures of what the little guy was going through, and yeah, I mean it's rough. I will say that you mentioned that during that time he seemed to be in fairly decent spirits, but the way it looked was
if you
rough.
Look at some photos on Google, there's some really horrible ones. His case, he didn't have. And the thing was is that it got misdiagnosed by our pediatrician early on because he just had finished out a course of amoxicillin for the first time.
Yeah.
And I at least when I was a kid, I broke out in a rash from amoxicillin use. And apparently you can get a rash after finishing a course, not just from like, you take a medicine and you have a reaction. It can be like after this 2-week period. So it was coinciding with him finishing a course of antibiotics. But it just looked like it started in like his neck fold and just started spreading. It looked almost like pox, like chicken pox in a way. And it just kind of got worse over a few weeks, and then ultimately, like, even still misdiagnosed at the time. Yeah. By like our pediatrician, and then he developed a spot on his eyelid, and that was like, this has not gotten better, because we had gotten like some other medicines and things like that. Yeah. It's like we ended up going to the ER, and I had like a suspicion too. I had like, because this is happening all over the course of a week, and you're like looking at it develop as like, does it feel like it's getting better? It was clearly like getting worse. But then like I remember I had like treated my I had like the feeling of a cold sore like coming on, and so I have like medicine at home for when I feel like I have one coming on. So I treated it, and I felt like I was trying to be as careful as I could be, because I just I know that it can be contagious. Yeah. But this wasn't at the forefront of my mind with this type of like reaction. Sure. But then it was a few days in, and then I was like, wait a second. Like, we went back to the pediatrician. I was like, should we say like I like had nursed a cold sore? Could this be related? And they said no. And then it was like, and then like at the hospital seeing doctors there, it's like, oh yeah, like this could be. And they did tests, and I mean, this was the first exposure to the virus. Yeah. For OB, so that's why it was like so like vicious in its appearance. But then getting and just seeing your baby like get an IV. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's just like it's hard enough, because you can stay still and you get an IV, but it's like I feel like sometimes like I'm not looking at needles and things like that, but a baby just trying to like get a vein through like pudgy arm rolls and things like that. It took them. That was brutal to try to do that. But we just were happy because like it can have some very serious like long-term effects. Yeah, Yes, it can like cause like brain damage and things like that. So we saw like infectious disease specialists and whatnot, and had like a lot of great care in the hospital. But that was certainly one thing that you're just like, you're never. I mean, nobody expects like when you're in a circumstance like that, like nobody expects to be there. But
Yeah.
when we got there, then like the doctor's like, oh my gosh, you did the right thing coming here. That felt good, but then we ended up, I think we were there for like 4 or 5 nights.
Yeah.
Which was, and it was why. And when you came home, it felt like you were gone for like a year.
Yeah.
It just is like hospital time is so wild. And then that was by far like one of the scariest and like craziest times that we've had so far. And then ironically, like we end up back in the hospital with like stomach bugs like only like a week later.
Ugh.
Nuts. That was all in May, and that was like a very forgettable month.
Yeah.
Basically started full-time daycare, and then all this stuff happened. It was just like it was insane. But now, happily looking back on that stuff in the rearview mirror, and he's healing up, especially like from the eczema herpeticum, like really well. But it showed the dermatologist said that's like, oh, for a baby like him with eczema, that's like one of the things that it's like the worst things that can happen, because he was more susceptible to getting the virus spread like this because of his eczema. And when we showed the dermatologist the photos, he's just like, oh my god, I cannot even believe, like, he's like, this doctor said he's only seen 2 cases of it since he's been practicing.
Wow.
But at the hospital, I mean, we were just like it's like, is it going to scar, from like these horrible, like, pox like lesions and things like, and he is healing up really, really well.
Good.
But it was just, I don't know, so scary, and you're just like the doctors at the hospital. It's like, oh yeah, we've seen this. This is like, we've seen way worse than he has. And
That's
just like,
unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
I mean, you saw some of the photos. Though.
It was, I can't imagine. I can't imagine as a parent sitting there and I mean, the pictures were rough. Like the fact that he's your kid and you were there. It's just, it's the fact that the doctors are like, oh, this isn't even the worst one we've seen. I don't know that I can believe. Okay, if you say so, like.
But then it just made it, and like, look, it's like eczema. Sure, it's like a skin, like a minor skin irritation. Something you can look at it that way, but it's constant, and you just need to like manage, and we need to manage it for him at this moment. And Rachel, tremendous with like the skincare routines, and we've looked into more options. We are going back to the allergist as well. Not even just the eczema, but like it's hard to know. And I mean, maybe you can talk about this either with me or like on a different podcast, but like we knew he wasn't allergic to peanuts from like a scratch test before we ever gave him like peanuts, which was like, it's like, so, and I have that feeling now where we're doing it with tree nuts here.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. So we do have like an AVQ because of his allergies to egg and dairy, and need that for like New York State like daycare requirement. It's like an EpiPen for babies. And but like to be like, okay, try almond for the first time, kiddo. It's like
terrifying. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's like anytime you do a food that's like a high allergen food, it's terrifying. The entire time you're just like, okay, like I might be killing my child today. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that was like one of the things I never thought about. I mean, I jokingly said before having a kid, it's like, oh, better not have a peanut allergy, or we will return you.
Right. And then you're like looking at your kid and about to give them peanut butter, and you're like, I really hope this is gonna be okay.
Yeah, Yeah, but we don't know now. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, has there been, say, like Rachel had coffee with almond creamer, and then like after that there was a flare up of eczema, and it's like, is this an allergy? Is this a coincidental, like, eczema flare up from something else entirely? Like, it's just, there's been a lot, like, it's like we don't have the answers. Like, all we can do is, like, manage it. And, like, fortunately, with, like, the warmer weather, it does seem to be, like, a lot better generally, but still is random, you know, and, but, like, we basically, it's like, felt like we went to hell with the eczema herpeticum and be like, okay, if we can get through that, it feels like we can get through, pretty much, like, anything.
You've had for 8 months, it seems like maybe you've already gone through like the full childhood of a kid. So I think you can send them off to college and like you'll be good to go. Like you're done. You've had enough. So
if you say so. Let me pack my bags and get on out of here.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, you're good, bud. You're good. Here's $20.
Yeah, there you go. A pat on the back, right? So yeah, I want to be respectful of your time, and so we're going to kind of finish up here with our sort of finishing question that we try to ask everyone, which is basically just, you know, you're now you're a dad, you've done it for 8 months, and so what would be one piece of advice you'd give somebody who is in sort of like that newborn stage, like early, you know, not quite a year old yet?
Listen to your partner. Yeah, I mean, I say that like sort of jokingly, but like it's also like very serious. Also just trying to, what you can do as a dad, like try to figure out those things through good communication, but then just try to like do those things without being asked to. Is like, because there's a lot of the mental load for mothers out there, and even that's just sort of just ask when you need help. Yes, there is an element of that, but like the things that like just find those things to like, it's like, I can do this without being told to do this, and that eases like everything in your house, and eases everything for your family, and just like finding those things. Like right now, I don't know specifically, like for newborns or parents of newborns, it's hard. It's like this is like one of the best pieces of advice I got is just like it's like take care of your wife. She's taking care of the baby. That is so, I found that to be so true in so much sense. But now I'm trying to like, for like OB being 8 months, I mean, I'm just trying to like wash bottles all the time, like just do that, and it's like just keep the kitchen clean, because it's like that's the ecosystem, and it's like that's like my current like I don't need to be told, I know to do those. So find the things that you know you just have to do, because the world of chores around being a parent is very vast, that's for sure.
I mean, the communication thing is, I know you said it initially like in a little bit of a joking way, but like the reality is that, I mean, for a relationship to work, communication is important, right? But when you are sleep deprived, when everyone sort of feels like they're maxed out and they don't have any more capacity, or when both partners are feeling like I'm doing more than the other person, or whatever it is, the communication is the first thing that breaks down. That's the first thing that goes out the window, right? It's like now we're not really talking about what we need. Now there's resentment. Now there's feelings of, I mean, you know, for some people, feelings of jealousness. Like my partner is spending so much time with the kid. What about time for me, right? My needs are not getting met. Their needs are not getting met. The first thing that goes out the window is the communication piece. So I think that's like amazing advice, right? It's like, keep those lines of communication open, and then really begin to anticipate and try to anticipate what are some things that are going to need to get done. Because you're right, like, and I've said this multiple times, but like in the beginning stages, if you're the non-birthing partner, like there's not a whole lot you can do for the baby. Like the baby is reliant on, you know, typically, you know, like the mother, and so especially if you're breastfeeding, you know, if if it's bottle feeding, then like you can take on a little bit more because it's, you can hold a bottle in the baby's face as easily as anyone else can. But yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, if I can keep Meghann fed, if I can keep the house clean, like if I can make sure that she doesn't have to worry about like those sorts of things, and she can just really isolate and focus on the baby, then like that's what I can do in this phase.
It's so true. I mean, we will never be the first people or the last to say like communication is everything.
Yeah.
But even then, where it's like just to like listen to your partner, especially like the first time. I know I personally struggle with this with like my undiagnosed ADHD brain, but like I just feel like sometimes my mind can just be like run like out of control, where it's like I'm there and I'm listening, but then if like I go back with a question to confirm, it's like, oh, I really wasn't like listening as much as I should have been. But yeah, like, but finding those things, like, you just trying to like ease the burden of your for your wife, or your partner, and just keep your house going, because like now, yeah, it's like, guess what? You still have laundry. You have new laundry for child. Like, I try to like really throw myself into those things. And just because it helps me feel like things are still like getting done, or that need to get done, and like, and it feels good to feel like it's managed. But anticipation of like those things is huge, instead of being like, hey, I asked if you could start like that load of like the kids' laundry. It's like, no, just start it. And guess what? You don't need to have a full load to do a load. You just need to do it.
You just need to do it.
It's like, because like you don't have a clean sleep sack right now. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, just do it. Like, you gotta. It's like, if you have the time, seize it. Then it's so, because time is so crazy when you're a parent now. It's just like it flies. Like the days seem to go by. I don't know. It's just like sometimes like I'm up at 5:30 and it's like, do this, and all of a sudden it's 8:00 at night.
Yeah. They say I think they say that the days are long, but the months are fast, or the hours are long, but the days are fast. Something like that.
Oh, yeah. Like the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that's true.
And get it done. One untold task at a time.
Yeah.
One anticipated task at a time.
Well, Will Brown, it's just such a pleasure to have you on, and I love you so much, and
I love you too, buddy.
I'm so glad that you agreed to come on here, and we'll definitely have you on again. We'll have Rachel on, and I'd love to have you both on at some point at the same time.
That would be awesome. I can't wait to keep on listening to your podcast. I'm so happy that you and Meghann are doing this. I think it's so cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And I'm so honored to have been on the Pondering Parenthood podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
I'll work on that jingle for you,
Yeah, that's right. Great interview. Really happy about that. I want to just say I'm just really happy that he was so open about what he was going through and like what their experience was. I think that's really important. It's really important. It's been really important for women, but I think it's also really, really important for men to, talk more about what their experience is like. Yeah, I think it was a really, really great episode to hear about things that I don't have experience with, so to hear a different story and what they've gone through. All right, so you've listened to it now at least half a dozen times. I think twice through. It was really good. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, the IUI stuff was really eye-opening, and I
I know a little bit about it, but it's not often talked about. I feel like I know a little more about IVF.
Right.
I feel like I only learned about IUI like a year ago because someone was talking about it. So that was really cool to just get some inside info and what that process was like.
It's kind of, I mean, he mentioned at one point that, like, you're basically walking through the steps of IUI in order to get to IVF. And, I mean, I don't know, I'd be interested in learning, like, what the statistics are. Because he kind of said that IUI is not super effective.
I think I did very brief research, and I think it said, like, it was a big range. I want to say it was, like, 10 to 60%.
Oh, yeah, it's not helpful at all.
And that most healthcare providers require 3 to 4 times to try it before. Which, I mean, makes sense. IVF is going to be more invasive.
Sure, but it's like you're, you know, what he said, it's like you're basically just, like, doing this thing and putting, I mean, you know, like similarly to IVF, the woman has to take hormones and, like, put her body through a variety of stresses, and then for something that, like, from his perspective is just, like, walking through in order to
get but I mean, obviously
but
it
to
worked.
be fair, it worked, yeah. So, I mean, maybe, you know, not in the moment, probably a lot harder to deal with, but in retrospect, a little bit.
Yeah. Just, like, very, very, you know, low-key research right now, but 10 to 20% per cycle for women under 40. That's the AI overview.
Thank you, AI. For
Thanks, AI.
Finding information. We have no idea where this information came from. AI is just making it up, probably.
But with multiple trials, you could get, obviously, higher percentage chance. But, yeah, it's very interesting.
What else?
So, some of my takeaways. I just love listening to you guys talk. You guys have known each other forever, and it was just, like, really fun to hear two men talk about their experience with parenting.
Yeah.
But one of the things that stuck out to me, he talked about at one point, he and Rachel were just like, you know what, the Mayo Clinic book, let's just stick with that, because we have too many influences right now. And you think about our generation, like, we have access to just so much information at our fingertips, whether we want it or not. And obviously they're all going to be contradicting. And so it's just really hard to be a parent right now in the world of social media and constantly comparing and figuring out what you and your partner want to do. So I thought that was really eye-opening, for sure. I don't know what you thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. There is, like, this theory, it might be called, like, choice paralysis, but, like, people think, like, oh, more choice is good. And it's like, there is a certain number of choices that is positive, but then when you get over that number of choices, you find that people tend to actually stop choosing a diversity of things. So, like, if you get, like, 2 or 3 choices of cereal, people will choose a variety of cereals. But if you get 10 cereals, it ends up being that people end up are less likely to choose different cereals. Yeah. Like, everybody starts to choose the same cereal.
Overloaded.
It just, you get to the point where your brain gets so overwhelmed with choice that it just becomes easier to not have choices. And I feel like that's kind of what we're at. Like, it's, like, I could go on to Instagram right now, and I'm probably following, like, 7 to 10 different influencers or psychologists who talk about child rearing and things of that nature. And they'll all say something that's kind of similar but slightly different, and they'll all talk about how the other ones are not quite right, but they're right. And then there are, like, all these people who are not therapists or not child psychologists who are just, like, parents who are influencers. And it's just...
And it gets so extreme. It's like, if you do this, then you're just, like, creating trauma. Like, it always resorts to these, like, big... You know, this is going to mess them up for the rest.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the choices you make in parenting is to that level, is going to have that level of consequence.
Well, and it's just like it's hard not to feel like you're always messing up when you get too deep into those things. Like, it's hard to just... And I mean, and some of them, especially some of the, like, the
child therapists or the child psychologists, I think they do a really good job, or they're doing a better job of pointing out, like, here are times that I've messed up. Like, here's a real scenario where I messed up, but then here's how I do things differently. You have hundreds of little interactions with your kids every day, and you can't get every single one right.
Yeah.
You know, and like with Will and what they were dealing with some massive things. It's like, you just, you know, like, you do the best you can to trust the people around you, and then you just have to make a decision and hope that everything's going to work out okay.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that helped me a lot was, you know, we followed Taking Care of Babies, which, you know, has its own controversial stuff, but one of her consistent things she says is, like, if what you're doing is working for your family, then just keep doing it. Like, it's once it's not working, that, you know, her whole shtick is like, here's what I have to offer. If you're finding this, you know, and that's specific to sleep, but I think that can generalize to a lot of parenting things. It's like, if you have found something that works for you and your family, like, that is what matters, because every kid's different and every family's different. So what's going to work for one kid is not going to work for another.
The caveat there, of course, is like, yeah, I mean, like, I shake my baby and they stop crying. That seems to be working for us.
Like within reason.
Right, as long as you're being safe,
sense.
as long as, like, here's the reality, right? Like, as long as the kid is safe, as long as the kid is loved,
yeah,
like, you're probably good.
Right. There's a middle ground between, like, anything goes and these, like, strict rules, you know. There's a middle ground. But anyway, so I like that he brought light to that. And another thing he talked, which I totally connected and related to, was he talked about the 4-month sleep regression, and how Obi was a really good sleeper up until the 4-month mark. And we actually had that experience more so with Mouse. And so I was just going to talk a little bit about why that is, the 4-month sleep regression, for parents who might not know, or like.
Did you get this from AI?
No, this is from Taking Care of Babies.
Go ahead.
But, I mean, many sources, you can look this up and fact check it.
Go ahead.
But basically, like, when they're turning 4 months, or around that time, is when they transition from these newborn sleep cycles to a more adult version of sleep cycles. So the cycles shorten, and they last 60 to 120 minutes. And so for, like, the first time the baby's, like, waking up, they see their surroundings, and they then have to put themselves back to sleep. And so if that hasn't necessarily been something they've been practicing, and a lot of, you know, newborns aren't practicing that,
Sure.
It's like that is the time when you have to start trying to teach that around the 4 or 5 month mark. And I remember that being a huge regression for Mouse, and having to kind of change her wake windows. There's all these, like, different things to try to alleviate that experience. But those days were brutal.
Yeah, sleep regressions are
awful.
You spend a tremendous amount of that time, like, every day you do something different, and then you fall into that trap of, like, oh, whatever we did last night works, so we have to just replicate that exact thing, which I'm sure all parents can relate to. And you're just like, when is it going to end? When is it going to end? And then it does end, and then you, like, don't realize it ended. Like, you're then in a week, and, like, things are going normal again.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, are we done? Like, what's going on? And then 2 months later, you get another sleep regression.
It's wild. But I just thought some listeners might find that interesting, of why that happens.
What else you got?
He talked about, in those early days of, like, that you're just going, and then you get to the nighttime where, like, typically you'd be like, okay, now I can, like, chill and watch a TV show or read or whatever, and instead you're just, like, overwhelmed with this great anxiety that, you know, the night's gonna go unpredictable or
Don't
awful.
miss that.
And I mean, he talked about how he and his family members would have to take shifts.
Yeah.
Like, just that level of anxiety of, like, it's supposed to be the time of day where you're finally getting rest, and instead you're so stressed out.
Yeah.
And I remember that. Like, I remember putting the baby down and then just
waiting. You're just
waiting.
Like, you're just, like,
you
waiting
just know
for it
it's
all.
they're gonna wake up and feeling a sense of dread about nighttime. So I totally connected to that.
Well, and he even said, he's like, yeah, like you go to work all day, you like do your work all day, you come home, you eat, you like do the bedtime routine, and then the work starts.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's so real. And it's crazy, like how, like all that is terrifying, and like you do have this sense of dread, but like also you just kind of adapt to it. Like you get used to not sleeping. I'm not saying it's like that you get used to it and like you're like everything's great, everything's fine, but like, during those times I could exist on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, whereas now, like if I were to get 4 or 5 hours of sleep for a few nights in a row, I'd be a total mess.
That's true. When you're in it for a while, your body kind of just realizes it has to survive.
Yeah.
I remember being surprised that I wasn't in some situations, like, I feel like I should be more tired.
Yep.
But yeah, your body does kind of...
What does take a hit is the partnership.
Yeah.
Because you end up fighting with your partner about things that are like you would never fight about. But you're just, both people are exhausted. Both people are like dreading the nighttime. Both people are just waiting and like wondering like, when are we going to get back to some semblance of normal?
Yep.
And because you're spending all of this time taking care of this kid who's not sleeping, and you yourself are not getting your needs met, you're certainly not meeting the needs of your partner. Like, that's
you're
not
just
happening.
totally missing each other. And it's also that nighttime when you would normally be able to like have non-kid related conversations or like no interruptions, and you don't have that anymore. So that was really difficult. One of his biggest, I think, advice at the end was to listen to your partner.
Yeah.
And that made me chuckle, but also, like, I remember one of the things that saved us in those, that, like, the 4th trimester postpartum period, was I can't remember who came up with it. I think it was you.
I think it was.
But we basically like decided, okay, if someone suggests something, we're just going to do it. We're not going to say no or like try to be the one who has the right answer. Like, we're just going to be like, okay, let's try it. Even if you don't agree with it in the moment, and you're just going to try it, because there were so many times where it would go both ways, but like one of us would suggest something and then the other person would be like, no, that's not what it is, let's try this, and you were just fighting about stupid things that you didn't know because we were brand new to parenting. And then once we did that was a game changer, because we realized that like, no, actually our suggestions were often the right thing we needed to do.
Well, it's like there's no harm in trying, right? It's like one person says, oh, I think they, are hungry. It's like, okay, well, let's try it.
Yeah.
Like, me saying no doesn't move anything forward, especially when, like, you're in that stage where, like, nothing is working. It's like, all right, well, then we're just going to try everything.
Yeah.
To try and do what we can.
But it's almost like you want to prove yourself as a parent. And, like, that's how I felt as the mother. Like, no, I know what this kid needs more than you do. Like, there is some of that in those early days, which is just so silly. Like, there's an ego attached to it.
It's like...
there doesn't need to be.
It is silly, but the more I think about it, the more... Especially, like, I think for the person who gave birth, the idea that somebody else might know what the kid needs and you aren't able to figure that out, I could see as being... Especially because, again, you're not getting sleep.
Yeah.
Like, that very much is, like, a fight or flight thing. That's very much like you're under attack. And, like, I could see that response as being that way.
Yeah. And then...
I don't miss at all. Don't miss that time at all. Yeah.
No. I mean, maybe just the little feet. The tiny toes.
Sure.
Oh, my God. The tiny toes.
Sure. But when people are like, oh, you shouldn't rush through this time because there will be a time when you're looking back and wanting to go back to that time. I don't think there's ever...
I would just want to go back to, like, snippets. Like, oh, her being nap trapped on me. Even though in the moment I was like, I want to be able to move around while she takes a nap. But, like, I could go back to that moment for, like, that 20 minutes.
I didn't even love like 6 months to a year, but like I'd go back to that.
That's
Pre
when
6
things
months,
got fun.
pre 6 months, no, thank you.
Yeah. No,
I'd
hear
have
that.
another kid today if I could just skip the first like 6 to 8 months.
The experience as a whole, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like for those first 3 months, but yeah. And then just the last thing I was gonna say was just empathizing with Will, or sympathizing, I guess, because we haven't gone through it, but like the eczema herpeticum just sounded horrible, and to like have your kid in the hospital, and I think that he said they were there for 4 to 5 days, and I feel so bad that like I didn't even I knew that he had a really bad rash. I didn't realize how bad it was.
I know that we like, you know, like I have a thread with Will and a couple other guys, and like we reached out, but it was like we also, I think, felt kind of like, you know, we didn't want to get in the way of whatever it is that they have going on.
And when your family is the one going through it, you're so busy, you know, you're. Ugh,
did you
that's just
see?
awful.
Did I show you those pictures of him?
Yeah. So
Poor guy.
sad.
But kids are so funny like that. I mean, especially like when like they have the stomach bug or things like that. Like, you know, it's like they seem bothered by it, but also they seem like they couldn't care less what's going on. And like, I mean, from what Will said, it sounded like he was like occasionally like in some discomfort, but like overall it was just like
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Yeah.
But scary. I mean, I did look it up when you were like, "Don't look it up." I didn't look at images, but
wait, listeners, for the 10 of you out there, don't look it up. Don't be like Meghann. Don't look it up.
But yeah, it can be life threatening. Like that was I'm so glad that everyone's okay.
Yeah. And
must have been so
seemingly,
scary.
I mean, you know, seemingly like no worse for wear. Like it seems like there were no side effects.
I'd love to have Rachel on at some point. I think any partner any person we have on, we will eventually also have their partner.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Is that gonna do it?
That's it, folks.
All right. If you've made it to episode whatever number this is, why are you still listening to us? Don't you have anything better to do with your time? Like
We're gonna be famous.
No, I mean, I just think they should go do something better with their time. But no, I'm just kidding. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us as we figure out what we're doing with this. If you are feeling generous, like, subscribe, leave comments, follow, do all the things that you're supposed to do. Share is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, share it.
Share
people you think might like it.
Yep. And if you are feeling like you want to reach out to us, especially for listeners who are not friends and family, I assume there aren't any, but if there are any, and you're interested in reaching out to us, maybe possibly being on the show, you've got a story to share, you can write to us at Pondering Parenthood Podcast
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Did I get that right? Pondering Parenthood Podcast at gmail.com. Write to us. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess we'll not see you, but see you next time.
We'll talk at you later.
Talk at you later. I love that. Bye.
Bye.